Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. In this video, I'll prove to you two things. One, that it's obvious that there's a bunch of racist gays who are trying to get you to believe that people who aren't gay magically are. And two, that to rule against people's souls and their offspring's souls is more than fair. So first of all, as I'm sure you can see on the screen, you see that it's the left-right paradigm, right? And the centrists are just as bad. You know, the libertarians, anyone who sees himself as a centrist. You see that on one side you have a crazy-looking older person who's Republican, and it's more their mental state than how they naturally look that is emphasized as off, as crazy, as senseless, as reckless, as illogical, as unfair. On the other side, you see that, there's some kind of gay activist, and he looks like he's scatterbrained. And in the video that I got this picture from, they pointed out that the left wing, according to them and their studies, tends to have people who are more scatterbrained. Now, why is that? Partly because they are compartmentalized, and people who are kind of racist and focused on white supremacy and organized with a kind of militia, military, and police mentality tend to be more on the right wing historically. And on the left, you get, hippies, skaters, various activists, very scatterbrained corporate types, techies who are kind of nerds, scatterbrained types, but they organize their thoughts in a certain way, and the school system is more structured to favor the left. And you see that where they live, they try to force people into their ways, right? Santa Cruz, Berkeley, San Francisco, Seattle, Atlanta, certain left-wing strongholds throughout the country, mostly in California. They try to force people to see it their way and to live their way. Then you have the right-wing ones, right? Alabama, Texas, small towns, what have you. They try to force people to live life their way. And as you can see by the caricature, which is something that most people would agree on right away, that it's commonly understood that they're unreasonable, that they're crazed, that they're control freaks throwing a fit, they never grew up, their social orders are an abomination to God, what have you. So when these people do what they've been doing recently, where they've been filming me in a way in my car that messes up my eyesight. Can you imagine that you're in the right and they're wrong? They're raping kids, they're raping women, they're beating up their kids, they're beating their wives, they're lying to people doing these things, and on and on and on, right? They're forcing people on psych meds, they're roughing them up when they're police officers, they're setting people up to be mass shooters. There's no shortage of things on the list of things that they're doing wrong. There's a long list. It's a whole myriad of things that they do wrong. And when they're wrong, they're really, really, really wrong for the most part. They're gang stalking people. They're playing stupid about people who are targeted. They're mishandling the homeless situation. They're playing problem solution games. Okay. There's stuff in the air. There's stuff in the food. I mean, it's a mix of the failure of the masses and the just complete stupidity of the governing class. I mean, they come from a long line of failed leaders, quote unquote leaders, Nero types, right? King Charles, King George, okay? It's on and on and on. Just these guys who are not leaders. They're not alphas. They're not moral. They're not decent. They just rule like maniacs, like narcissists, like selfish people, okay? Or they're figureheads for narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths and assorted scum. So when they persecute the most righteous person ever and threaten me and harass me and have gays harass me and play stupid about it, and law enforcement refuses to answer my reports in a way that's fair and just and right, okay? Lawyers refuse to get back to me. I mean, they bent over backwards to just cheat me. And keep in mind, I'm somebody with a college degree, and while I was in college still, okay, they were trying to play me out as crazy and say that, that I'm this and that and a schizophrenic. Do you think schizophrenics graduate college? And if your answer is yes, then you do believe that they're very capable of looking at the situation, seeing if there's something wrong with them or not, and making a report that makes sense. I gave many reports in college, many reports, and some of them made more sense than any reports in college that were ever given, kind of thing. So it's retarded to then turn around and say, this guy doesn't know. When, for a little over 4 years or so, I was in college, and I went back to college in 2010. I started making videos in 2009. Then in 2017, by then I had 23 witnesses on record, and I was blinded temporarily for several days, went to the eye doctor, and I still wear special glasses to this day as a result. I was fumed to the point where I was blinded. And then now they're fuming me and causing me to have certain problems in my eyes. Now, am I some namby-pamby, Democrat or Republican or Libertarian that I would magically, give up or something? No. That's some bitch-ass fucking Yankee Doodle bitch shit. That's far beneath me. I stand firm, like it says in Matthew 10:22, to the end. And any spirit that moves against me, shame on them and their families. It is irreversible. When you move against the most righteous person ever possible, in spirit, in principle, fuming him, giving orders against him, what happens? The souls of you and your family are cooked. Now, as you look at the screen, can you say that it's unfair for the types of people that are depicted on the screen, which is a variation of the masses of Westerners, for example, and the whole world's been led astray by evil ideas, mind you, except for me, and my parents are blameless. Some be said by my brother, especially my little brother. Can you say that if Christ was back, and he is, and I'm that it's wrong for him to say those people and their offspring, will have souls that burn in hell forever? Is that wrong to say that they will cook, their souls will cook forever? Is that wrong? Is that unjust? Is that illogical? Does that defy reason? No. It is fair. When you let yourself be a scatterbrained, undisciplined moron, when there's no shortage of resources to get people to scramble to do what's right, there's movies that inspire people. There's churches that, even though they worship the devil, they touch on topics that are likely to trigger the parts of the brain that make you want to do what's right. But you all turn your back on these things, these ideas, these morals of stories, these principles. You give up scruples and ethics, and instead you choose to be evil. In your souls you say to give you Barabbas. In your souls you say to give you rape cult systems. The word friend is a play on words for friend. You're the friend of evil people. You've yoked yourself to monsters. You lead your families astray. Many of you keep reproducing. You don't care how how bad the world gets. You don't care how much mind control there is. You don't care how many people are suffering, how much greed is involved in reproducing while people starve to death, and living fancy lives while people are out in the streets. You don't care. You just keep going. You keep working with them. You keep trying to be them. You keep doing something wrong that is clearly wrong. So it's a walk in the park to give the divine verdicts time and time again. And like today, when they started antagonizing me after they provoked me and fumed me and caused me to have eye pain for it's like the second week in a row or so, where they really stepped up the fumes, where my sensitivity to certain things caused me to have eye pain and caused my vision to be blurry, and it suggests long-term repercussions. They're threatening me to blind me in the long term, and certainly causing me to have damage in the brain and eyes and what have you as a result of the things that they're doing. If you were God, right, think about the parable of the tenants, right? If you were God and you're watching this play out and you see these people every day, they get up, they go to work, they run a psyop on me, and they cause me to have damage. Wouldn't you hate them and their offspring more than words can possibly describe? Now some of you say, well, why does God let them? Because life is short. Life is short. Think about how a year goes by in terms of minutes, seconds, days, months. Think about how it goes by. The song Yesteryear, or whoever it was, right? Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles or whoever sings that. Think about songs you listen to, they talk about past times, the good old times, the good old days. The old people you've come across who say, where did the time go? Eventually, their test will be up, and them and their offspring will cook forever. Now, most people, where I go at least, they try to come off as more kind of, sweater and jeans type of person. More kind of like, the kind of Republicans and Democrats who aren't depicted on the screen. That doesn't mean that they're above going to hell. They're not. Because they've decided to shrink to fit. The word shrine is like the word shrink. Their deity is a deity of those who shrink to fit. They're not in the spirit of the Lion of Judah. They're in the spirit of a scared little goat shivering under a blanket, groveling to their oppressor in their own ways. A sniveling coward. And in Revelation, one of the last chapters, it says outside the gates are various types, including the cowardly. Including the cowardly. The word coward is a play on words for a crowd. And the word crowd, you have the word crow. The body without the spirit is dead. Faith without works is dead. And the masses of Americans and the rest of the inhabitants of the earth are the walking dead. They don't have the heart to immediately respond to the presence of Christ and to rally and obey. Instead, they choose a path of eternal punishment for them and their offspring. The Bible says the smoke from their torment, right? The evidence of their torment, the kind of process of their torment, the evidence of the process of their torment will rise forever and ever. See, when you're God and you love those who are faithful to you, you're going to love them forever. And those who are unfaithful, you're going to hate them forever. And just like the sand over time is marshaled onto the beach, okay, and there's a long-term destiny for that sand. It has long-term significance. While I was here on this planet, that sand was there, and this planet was a significant test in the stages of my soul. One thing God knows I want with all my heart is for everyone who cheated me out of my right to lead to burn forever as a symbol of God's love for me. Those who scramble to prevent me from having a suitable helper to be separated from any relief forever. Those who are on duty right now, for example, who talk down to me while my eyes are burning, while my vision's blurred and things like that, okay, for them and their offspring to cook to the extreme. Because as you contend with me, you contend with God. And God will never forsake the righteous, but the offspring of the wicked and the wicked themselves, their souls will cook forever.